So, formally, welcome to Kshama Nargunji. I am not surprised to have her on my show. She's like a sister to me, and I know her more personally than professionally. So, I will leave to her to introduce herself professionally. And to all the viewers, they are really excited to have you on the session. I got n number of messages. We look forward to this session. I think you are more popular than me. so,
Absolutely not.
once again, welcome, Akka. So, today's
Thank you, Akka.
topic is really sensitive, and I want men as well to join this discussion because they are the opposite party or second party in crime or party in gain. Let's discuss that. So, welcome to once again. And briefly, I want you to tell about yourself to the people, and then we will start the formal discussion as well.
Yes. Thank you for those very kind words, Akka. Although it only makes me feel how much more I'll have to achieve when you say those things. So every time you're setting the standards more and more high to me. So thank you for that. So far as I'm concerned, I'm an advocate practicing in Bangalore. I have been associated with Samiti since young, so
Mhm.
I am a Samiti Sevika. Right now, my interest lies with Disha Charitable Trust for Value Initiatives.
Mhm.
It is an organization where we conduct value education programs around the idea of know yourself, know your
Mhm.
country, and know your culture.
Yes.
So we are basically catering to from high school students to PG and PhD cadre. So we
Mm.
have workshops dedicated for each category and how it has to be carried out.
Right. Okay, we lost you for a minute. I think we can't hear you, Shamaka.
Am I audible?
Yes, now you're audible.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Now, this is very little she has told about herself. There is lots to it, as I always say, but let's focus on the topic today. Viewers, today we are going to discuss domestic violence and Indian law. I'm sure everyone or many of you are aware of this particular section and information about it, but let's hear it from the authorized person. Also, we want to see the sensitive side of it and a delicate side of it as well, rather than speaking only in the legal language. And my take or my initial or opening remark is uh, domestic violence at home is unfortunately a reality of Indian society, a glitch. It is in the Indian setup, it turned into a satisfactory practice to mishandle women. And unfortunately, even women from the family do not think it is something wrong. They feel it's a part and parcel of life. Rather, that is what marriage means sometimes, and that is what a fate of woman is left to. How justified it is, or rather, how logical it is something I want you to comment on first.
As you have very rightly said, domestic violence unfortunately has become a part of the society. There are, when we say domestic violence, there is, we should understand that there are different kinds of violences.
Hmm.
You can have mental violence, there is physical violence, there is verbal violence, there
Hmm.
is economical violence.
Hmm.
So, and all these kinds of violences are practiced against a woman.
Yes.
Now, why they have been practiced, or why this became an order of the day, or rather an acceptable part, or rather an acceptable
Hmm.
issue,
Hmm.
is very, very surprising. Because um, the culture that India comes with,
Hmm.
or the way woman has been perceived in India,
Mhm.
in Bharat rather,
Mhm. Mhm.
is very, very different. Is very,
Hmm.
very different from the way it's been projected.
Yes.
But from we should understand that Bharat had just one perspective to it.
Okay.
And that perspective was a universal perspective, universal brotherhood, universal fraternity. So that was the perspective that Hinduism and Bharat was actually standing for.
Hmm.
But from the 12th century itself, we have seen a lot of invasions.
Hmm.
Now, invasions have affected India not just politically but also culturally.
Hmm.
The worst invasion culturally that has happened was with the British.
Hmm.
When in the 1400s, when British came
Hmm.
to India,
Hmm.
they did not come only to drain out India economically. They have drained out India
Mhm.
culturally.
Oh.
Now, it's the Abrahamic practice where a woman has been seen as a second grade person.
Okay.
It's only a sin that Eve commits. it's
Hmm.
it's only they're objectifying. I mean, you get the hoods, you get
Hmm.
72 hoods when you are
Hmm.
objectified.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
those objectifications were never a part of the Sanatana Dharma.
Dharma. Hmm.
And unfortunately, since they were on the powerful state
Hmm.
since those many centuries,
Mhm.
they have oppressed us with those thoughts.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, we have also forgotten what our roots are, and we have accepted them to be the right thoughts. We are
Hmm.
continuing it. Even after
Hmm.
independence, we are continuing with those kinds of thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's time, once we understand that these are not our thoughts, this is
Hmm.
not
Our
indigenous.
culture. Uh-huh.
Yes, this is not indigenous. Then
Mhm.
that's when we will immediately move out of it. That's when the decolonization, or rather freedom in its actual sense, and
Hmm.
decolonization will take place.
Agree.
Which is why Gandhiji used to say, the
Hmm.
moment you treat a woman properly, that's
Hmm.
when your freedom starts.
Hmm.
Because this is the idea of decolonizing the minds of people.
Correct. Agree. I think I now completely grasp, or rather digest that idea that it is not Bharatiya Sanskriti, it is not our heritage to consider woman as commodity or a second grade human chain. We always had women at par men in every sector, including Veda, including chanting, including ruling, including Rajya Sabha, and many more, even the Yuddha Niti and other cultural habits, or even the skills. I think that is something very unfortunate that has happened, along with snatching our wealth, prosperity, and our cultural heritage also, with n number of invaders attacking our country. And somehow our people take pride in that slavery, and following the dictatorium without even given any thought to it, or even considering women as respectful uh, one class of section or society. Uh, Unfortunately, since some years, when I came in contact with many bhaginis, or our womanhood in various sectors, every alternate girl or woman has softly or secretly talking about her so-called troubled marriage life. And I really have a lot of empathy and sympathy towards them. At the same time, I hear such a explanation or stories which force me to think in direction: who is responsible, and how is anybody modeling this, or is it something we need to handle only by law, or there is no other way?
Law is the last thing that can help you out in this.
Hmm.
What really should matter is one, domestic violence should no longer be a woman problem. It should be a
Hmm.
social problem.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's not just the women who are getting affected, it's the
Yes,
family which is getting affected. It is the
exactly.
children who are getting affected. Now, a children, you can have the boy or the a boy child getting affected by this and the
Hmm.
girl child getting
Hmm.
affected by
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
So it is a social problem
Yes,
which also involves women.
absolutely.
Therefore, this idea of looking into it holistically,
Mm-hmm.
one, law has terribly failed in looking into it holistically.
Hmm.
The reason being, law has chosen the path of protectionism,
Hmm.
that we have to protect, and therefore, most of the laws have been framed keeping women in mind. So, when a woman says something, even
Mm-hmm.
her oral deposition before the court is
Mm-hmm.
taken as the final word. When she says, yes, this man beats me,
Mm-hmm.
unless the man proves that he has not beaten her,
Uh,
her words are taken truth. That's
I,
not true in all the cases. It's true only in cases of women where there is protectionist attitude that a law takes. But at the same time, what we should understand, if the society has to deal with it,
mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
we have to go back to our roots.
Hmm.
One is we should start practicing something called as the ashrama system.
Hmm.
Now it sounds very harsh on
Hmm.
my side,
Hmm.
from my
Hmm.
side, when I say that
Hmm.
ashrama system actually kept our families intact,
Mm-hmm.
and ashrama system actually kept the power struggle between two genders
Hmm.
intact.
Hmm. Hmm.
The reason being, look at it very logically.
Mm-hmm.
The first 25 years were considered as brahmacharya.
Yes.
Now, brahmacharya has been ordained to both,
Hmm.
to the women and to the men.
Men,
A
yes.
woman can choose whether she wants to remain a brahmacharini or not. So she gets a choice there.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
The next 25 years
Mm-hmm.
is meant to be
Mm-hmm.
grihastha.
Yes.
So after brahmacharya, after your 25th year,
Hmm.
the man gets married.
Hmm.
And it is presumed, whenever a couple enters
Hmm.
the grihastha,
Mm-hmm.
the reason for entering grihastha is praja. Praja is to create a new being.
Hmm.
So it is presumed that, with the creation of praja,
Mm-hmm.
for the next 25 years, they will be in grihastha. By
Yes.
then, A has turned, first 25 years, A was a brahmachari. The next 25 years, A is a grihastha.
Mm-hmm.
And now, at present, he is 50 years. So from 50 to 75 years, the next 25 years, he is being asked to take the idea of vanaprastha. Now, what
Hmm.
is vanaprastha? It is to let go of things and to proceed towards forest.
Okay.
This is vanaprastha.
Agree.
The last 25 years
Mm-hmm.
is meant to be sannyasa, where
Hmm.
he is aiming for a higher goal,
Hmm.
or he is wanting his soul to reach a higher state. Like what Aurobindo says. I mean, Sri Aurobindo, he says that,
Hmm.
death is not the ultimate thing. There's something beyond it. There is
Hmm.
to reach that higher self, the higher
Mm-hmm.
level of consciousness. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if we understand moksha in that sense, then the
Mm-hmm.
next 25 years is when he should be spending time to reach the higher level of consciousness.
Right.
If this, if we keep this in mind,
Hmm.
by the time the person
Hmm.
enters his 50th year, A
Mm-hmm.
enters 50th year,
Mm-hmm.
junior A would
Hmm.
have entered 25th year. When the father is ready to let go of, when the father, the parents are ready to let go of their responsibilities and proceed towards forest, junior A and his wife, because he would have reached 25 and he would have married, he would have entered grihastha at that time. So they are ready to take responsibilities. When we have this sort of shifting or transfer of power very smoothly, then obviously violence will end,
Hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
invariably A and B, when I
Hmm.
say A and Mrs. A will know that they have to stay together for the wheels to run.
Yeah.
the same way, junior Mrs. A and junior A also will know that now it is time for us to take the responsibility.
Hmm.
So there is an easy transfer of power. When there is an easy transfer of power,
Yeah.
obviously the way we look at each other or the way we interact with each other as human beings
Mhm.
will change drastically.
Hmm.
Today, most of the violence is because of power struggle.
Yes.
Power struggle between the husband and wife, power struggle between the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, power struggle between the father-in-law and the son-in-law. So there, because of this power struggle, each one wants to get, or rather uh, hold on to that security by
Yes.
condemning the other.
Yes.
Now that won't work unless we create a smooth transfer of power in the society and be better men and be ready to let go. When I say men, I mean to say human beings.
Yeah.
So when we become better human beings and when we are ready to let go of things,
Mhm.
automatically we will see the other person more as an individual, more as a fellow being,
Agreed.
rather than seeing as a competitor.
Yes.
This idea has to change in the society.
I think that's really very well explained, and I think you have a catch here that the power struggle is what is the root cause of starting all kind of small arguments, big arguments, and then the uh, resulted into violence or so forth. Before I really shoot my first question, now when I said I heard people talking very reluctantly or sometimes out of a lot of frustration that they are not able to handle the situation. Now, one side we say that Indian culture or Bharatiya Sanskriti is based on Kautumbik Vyavastha. One side we say that that is the so-called USP of India, the family structure. And we have a heritage or a culture of joint families wherein at least four brothers and respective families living together and ultimately supporting each other and growing together. That is something we cherish and talk very proudly. Having said so, uh, it's not always a rosy picture. It's definitely handling multiple temperaments, multiple personalities, and everyone is coming from different background. At least the wife side or the girl side, I would say, and they bring the baggage of their upbringing and their culture, and that's where I think the situation gets into tussle or challenging part. Why can't we have some sort of a pre counseling or a format wherein girl or even boys, I'm not saying only girls, even boys are counseled or given the complete understanding of so-called marriage concept. It comes with happiness and challenges. It's a roller coaster. It's a two-way acceptance, and it's a two-way highway. So my way cannot be highway. It should be two ways. So why that efforts are not taken either at family level or at society level?
It's a very good observation that you have made. In fact, I should say that some such efforts have begun. There are premarital counselings that are happening,
Mhm.
but I should confess that the counselings that are happening right now are more individual centric.
Mhm.
It is time that when I say marriage, it never happens between two persons, two
Mhm.
individuals. It
Mhm.
always happens between two families.
Mhm.
So if they are supported by both the families equally,
Mhm.
if the boy is supported by his family and if the girl is supported by her family,
Mhm.
only then the wheels of marriage, or rather the journey of marriage, can be very, very smooth. Um, which is why one effort has been made, although it's still in a theoretical format. We are
Mhm.
working on it,
Mhm.
where we are trying to bring in premarital counselings in such a manner that
Mhm.
they meet us with the parents.
Mhm.
both of them together, they have to meet us with the parents. One is premarital is what we are trying. The other one is newlyweds. Newlyweds are having their own apprehensions about things.
Yes.
So, and it is very easy to get parents of newlyweds because there is already a relationship, there is a bond that they have developed. So, which is why we are designing programs for the parents of the boy, the parents of the girl, and the boy and the girl themselves in separate groups and together as a family, how they can work it out. So we have started designing the sessions. We are thinking it should be a 1 day long session. Apart from if they require further counselings or something like that, then that can also be provided for. But I should mention Venkatesh Murthy ji here from Youth for Seva, who has initiated this. And of course, we have not named the project anything right now.
Okay.
It's still in a very nascent stage. But yes, the process has begun from the society. It's begun.
Now,
it has to reach many people. Many people.
Yes. Now, I have a very picky question. You can choose not to answer. But when law comes in picture, when it comes to breaking the marriages, why can't law come in picture when it comes to making the marriages?
Law has always, see, one thing we have to see is law has always been for making the marriages. Generally, when we go to an advocate, I'll give you one simple example. Generally, when we go to an advocate and say that this particular property is mine and somebody else has encroached this property, give it to me. At that point of time, immediately I can get the wakalat signed from the person. I can take the power of attorney and I can go and represent.
True.
But so far as family law is concerned, law does not permit me to get the wakalat signed immediately. Law requires me to take the permission of the court and say, can I file wakalat in favor of this person? Because he or he is not legally aware of things, which is why can I go ahead and file? Why has law created this? Because law understands that so far as family is concerned, it's a very personal thing. You should never go to a lawyer for personal things. And if a lawyer is a third party, so if a lawyer has to enter the frame, then he has to take permission. Which is why law says that only in family laws, only in cases of matrimonial, you cannot file the wakalat without taking permission from the court. Therefore, law has always been for making the marriages. We are using it for all the wrong reasons.
Yes.
But the intention of law has been very straight. Even after filing the wakalat, law does not allow the person. See, when you file the wakalat, you file that these are my complaints. So that is called as a plaint.
Yeah.
After filing the petition, law says the other party should file the reply. Law says, no, don't file the reply. Wait, we will send you for counseling. There is a legally recognized mediation, which every couple has to undergo, and there are trained mediators.
Yes.
So they will go there. Even after that, things don't work. That is when law says, okay, in that case, file your reply. So law has made enough provisions to keep things intact. If we don't follow it, then the theory is not wrong.
Correct.
Practically, what we have understood is wrong.
I think I echo your point. Law is misuse, and it's like tod marod ke, it's been used and reused for the convenient justice, and again it's a power game. The financially strong the party, easy to convince or turn the course of action. So unfortunately, that is something, it's a big talk or subject, we cannot handle it. Now coming to the legal questions. I think, yes, what you said is at a society level, this should start. And as you mentioned, that Youth for Seva has started one section which is working on it. And it's very, very, very important to start at pre stages, because everything looks very rosy for a young mind, but when it comes to handling the reality, they somehow go very haphazard and very disturbed, and they don't know how to handle it, and then it results into something unwanted. And again, as you say, it does not spoil a life of only two or one person, it spoils the life of many people who are associated with it, which is even more worse if there are children involved into it, and their future is really challenging and difficult, which is something parents and young parents especially should understand. Again, having said so, we don't want them to continue under very adverse conditions and face the challenges without not having any option kind of situation. But it's a journey, and as you rightly said, it should be worked in that manner, that it's not a competition, it's a journey. So how we help each other and come out of it is what makes it more important. Now comes the first question, Akka. What are kinds of cruelty
Yes.
covered under this law section?
Like I said, there are many kinds of cruelty. One is physical, there
Mm,
is verbal, there
mm,
is economic, there
mhm,
is financial, there is psychological.
mhm,
So lots, I mean, these are the kinds of cruelties that are covered,
mm,
that are recognized.
mm,
Um, to be, I mean, you can't beat a person, you can't push a person, you
mm,
can't talk ill about a person, you
mm,
can't have, you can't have an adulterous relationship because
mm.
that can cause mental cruelty,
Yes.
and you can't deprive a person of his or her finances.
Mhm,
You can't just go ahead, make some debts and then place it on another's, your spouse's head and just walk away.
mm.
So that is also considered as cruelty.
Cruelty.
So these are basically the kind of aspects that are covered
Okay.
under cruelty.
Okay. The list I did in my research was like, as you have mentioned, almost all of them. Few are like non-acceptance of a baby girl, also taking away children,
Yes.
also wasteful habits, and also non-dowry demand, harassment, which are very common issues. Um this is like this is not our culture. Once again, we are coming to that. This is not our culture, but we have acquired it or we have got it from somewhere, and that has become a fashion or that has become a part of a life, and unfortunately it is seen from the uh, mm, lenses of law, and has to take a legal action on it. Now, uh, what are there any uh, amendments or any sections which regulates the actions involved in delivery and acceptance of a dowry? How much ever we speak, how much ever we flaunt, but it is an important and a very sensitive uh, section of our marriage life, and which is still continuing at every single level, irrespective of the financial condition, irrespective of the social status, irrespective of the cultural background. I have seen people sitting in an authorized position talking about dowries, but they are also involved in this act uh, with choice or without choice. So, are there any regulations which define this and how to catch it?
Very interesting question. There is actually an entire legislation. It is
Mm,
called as the Dowry Prohibition Act.
mm.
Initially, they came up with the Dowry Prohibition Act and said there is no way
1961, I
any
think.
person, yes.
Uh,
So there is no way that you can take or
mm,
demand dowry. The person
mm.
who gives dowry is also wrong.
Yeah, yes,
The person who takes the dowry is also wrong.
right.
They made this.
Mm,
Thereafter, they even went ahead and made it a criminal offense.
mm,
There is something called as the 498A
mm,
section,
mm,
where they have said that demanding dowry is a criminal offense.
mm,
So, and they are tried, and the punishment is very strict. The interpretation is very strict.
mm,
Even simple demanding of dowry can itself be
mm,
considered as a crime under
Mm-hmm.
IPC.
Mm-hmm.
So law has tried tightening up these aspects through. Now, I think the next part of the question is said this: how do we stop, or
Yeah,
how do we
catch it.
get this?
Yeah, yeah.
See, what has happened is
Hmm.
there is a sort of a weird competition that people are getting into.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
My son, her son was paid 5 lakh dowry. My son
Hmm.
is more worth than that.
Oh my goodness. Huh?
Now, we are hearing there is very less talks that we hear so far as dowry from the woman is concerned.
Ah.
Here, these days, what we are getting to hear is
Hmm.
now they say demanding of dowry from a bride's family is wrong, and giving of dowry to the groom's family is also wrong.
Hmm.
Things have changed a little bit.
Okay.
Very recently, women have also started demanding dowry. There
Oh,
is
okay.
one clan there is if there is it's a matriarchal clan. So
Mm-hmm.
there the women ask for dowry and the men will have to bear it.
Okay.
So in either cases, see, unfortunately, law has not seen that part at all,
Ah.
because that is a very minuscule majority in our
Hmm.
country.
Hmm. Hmm.
But and therefore law has not addressed that.
Hmm.
Nobody has really questioned it. Men have not come out in the open and questioned it because of, again, how can a man complain against these things?
Hmm.
That attitude comes in between.
Hmm.
At the same time, women have also been misusing this aspect,
Hmm.
and slowly it is spreading. It is
Hmm.
spreading amongst various castes, where the women are also, where the women's family, the
Hmm.
bride's family is also demanding for
Hmm.
dowry.
Hmm.
The problem in both these cases, whether a woman demands it or a man demands it, it is wrong.
Okay.
Now, why is it wrong, or why did this come in the first place? It's come
Mm-hmm.
in the first place because we have started, from valuing ourselves,
Hmm.
what we are.
Hmm.
We have
The social
started we
status.
started pricing
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah.
So because you started pricing, so every time, whenever we speak of a value of a product, it is, you can't give a numeric number. It cannot be done in the numeric fashion.
Hmm.
But when we start, unfortunately, we started valuing ourselves in the numeric fashion.
Hmm.
And that's when, so we are basically pricing
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when we are pricing ourselves, we think we are more worth.
Hmm.
So if they have to get my company, then they have to pay so much. So it's slowly becoming social status.
Yes. Yes.
It's unfortunate,
Huh.
but it will require a unlearning of mind. They
Huh.
have to understand their
Huh.
true potential
Huh.
for this.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, these are couple of things, and the list is big. They don't remain couple anymore, um, which are becoming a hurdle in the betterment or health of a society, wherein the family structure is getting completely destroyed. The harmony in the family or in the society eventually is getting destroyed, and where somewhere we also see, and as we discussed in the beginning, it is affecting a big way, it is affecting rather mindset or upbringing of children, and they are having a dark future or a confused life rather, wherein they are not able to make right choices in career, in life, and eventually they are not able to reach where they should be reaching, if at all they have a healthy family structure. The recent case that we saw, which is hyped and spoken a lot, that is Sushant Singh Rathod suicide case. Now, we'll not get into that. Everyone has their own version, so let's not talk about that. But my personal opinion, or rather my observation, I may be wrong, that somewhere the family upbringing or the background also matters. The boy was really attached to mother, and then after losing that sensitive or a very sweet side of his life, he possibly became a directionless, or no orientation, and this kind of results we see. And now in the period of COVID, we are seeing lot many young people are somehow embracing suicide and unfortunate unwanted situations. So it's a high time for society to think about all these, which are not limited to only one girl or one boy. It is impacting the entire big society. Now my third question to you, Zaka, have you ever come across a situation where you felt that the petition filed is baseless and I'm misguided or I'm misled?
Many times.
Okay.
Many times. See, generally what we do is, when we go through, when somebody comes
Huh,
and speaks of certain differences and
huh,
all of this,
huh,
we know.
huh,
We know the moment we start talking, we know how much of it is right and how
huh.
much of it, how much of it can be believed and how much of it
Yes,
cannot be believed.
yes, yes.
So at that point of time, fortunately, I have gotten myself associated in such kind of offices
Hmm.
which don't allow me to file such petitions.
Ah, okay.
So what we generally do is, even before filing any kind of a petition, if the differences have been very, very small,
Mm-hmm.
then they say that okay, we will send a legal notice,
Hmm.
but not saying that we will go to the court otherwise.
Hmm.
What we will be saying is we will call them to come and talk
Hmm.
and solve the differences.
Hmm.
Fortunately, we have
Hmm.
been I very proudly say that, um, in my 4 years of, I have started accepting matrimonial matters only from the last 4 5 years.
Okay.
In those 4 5 years, I have been able to get about 6 families stay together, wherein
Wonderful.
they have come down
Congratulations.
and they have spoken. There have been all kinds of small nitty gritties will always be there.
Of course.
Somewhere some person will have to say it's okay. Once one person will have to say it's okay,
Hmm.
once the other person will have to say it's
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm.
None of us are like ordained with all the best
Perfect.
qualities, and
Hmm.
we are never perfect people.
Hmm.
So we should learn to find happiness in those
Hmm.
imperfections. But yes, there have been several attempts where we have failed
Uh-huh.
because of ego, and we know
Hmm.
that this case is not going to see an end because of its ego.
Hmm.
But I should say that as an advocate, I am quite ruthless.
Mhm.
If you want, despite all these attempts, if you still want me to go ahead and file the case, I will still be going ahead and filing your case,
Okay.
because ultimately you are the master of your cases.
Yes.
But we will know,
Ah.
and it's not like the other advocates won't know.
Hmm.
Most of the advocates will know. So when we're talking, we know this something is going to happen to this case, sir. So
Okay.
these kinds of talks are very common
Huh.
in the corridors.
Yes. And uh, I must say that I'm a lawyer's daughter, and I have overheard rather, many other discussions and cases that my father used to handle. I feel, as you say, after a certain point, it becomes a very illogical and baseless, because just because somehow they want to cherish their ego, or they want to reach my, it should be my final word. That is where the fight comes to, and the real issue gets buried down somewhere, and the people are losing their consciences, their uh, maturity level, and also the language. It's very disheartening and very unfortunate to see such situations. Now, I wanted you to also tell or put a focus on a particular situation. Somewhere with the development, we have other side of it. Women are becoming financially independent, and that has definitely been their asset and a strong point. But somewhere, some women are misusing it to their protection, or I would say uh, misusing. When I say, what I mean is, they are using it for under the name of freedom, devastating or damaging the life or the marriage society, or a married life of their own. have you ever come through such situation? I'm sure you have. And the law is misused, and the man is innocent, but he's showcase a criminal. How do you look at that, and what is that? How did you handle such case?
Very tough question you are asking me.
I'm
See,
sorry.
the reason is yes. I totally agree that financial status of a woman should be absolutely to her own will. But at the same time,
Hmm.
to understand, see, more the freedom, the
Hmm.
more responsibilities should come to women.
Hmm.
To anybody for that matter. I don't even want to say woman. To
Yeah.
any human being,
Yeah.
the more freedom you have to get, you have to earn the freedom by displaying more responsibility. So
Hmm.
the ambits of freedom always increases through restraint. It never
Hmm.
increases by letting yourself free.
Hmm.
So it is always beyond through restraint.
Hmm.
Now, unfortunately, yes, there have been women who have come out, and we know
Hmm.
the man is not wrong here.
Hmm.
Under those circumstances,
Mhm.
when the men have approached
Mhm.
our offices, and we know that the woman would have also come, the man would have also come, and then several times. It's not like it is happening only in our office or something like that. But there are quite a few offices in Bangalore
Mhm.
where such kind of goodwill always happens in
Mhm.
lawyers' offices.
Mhm. Mhm.
When the man comes and you know that the man might not have done any mistake,
Mhm.
so you try to call the woman and then try to talk to her. If it is working, good. If it's not working, then we will say, you know what, the laws are against the man today.
Hmm.
It is very difficult to prove yourself to be
Hmm.
innocent. Now it's
Hmm.
easy to prove an act that has happened. It's
Hmm.
easy to prove that he hit me.
Hmm.
It's very difficult to prove that I have not hit. What has
Ah,
not been done
correct.
cannot be proven. I have
Yeah.
not done that and the prove ಮಾಡೋದು ಬಹಳ ಕಷ್ಟ.
Yes.
Therefore, we say, okay, settle the matter.
Hmm.
Find out what she wants. She wants a divorce. She's looking for some compensation. What is the best amount you can come down? Say that and finish it.
Hmm.
If they want to continue fighting forever, that's when they'll say it's not going to end anywhere, but I will file the case. So it is equally true. At the same time, it is also true. I mean, it's been one very recent incident was where the man had come and he had 101 complaints about the woman and all of that. And then several times, several sessions happened with the man. Thereafter, for some reason, I said, let me also hear the woman. I asked him, you get your wife. He said, no, she's not going to come to me. She's definitely not going to meet you. And I said, no, that's not going to happen. You tell her that I want to meet you. Then he said, no, if I say she's not going to come, then I said, you go home. You go home and you go to her house, give me a call. I will talk to her over phone. Let's see if she's going to come or not. So I spoke to her. And she sounded perfectly reasonable. She came, she met me, we spoke. That's when I realized that the man was absolutely wrong. For all the impression that was given to me, saying that, he was such a wonderful person and she was not cooperating, but was all shut down. So that's when, whenever, especially in matrimonial cases, because other kinds of cases have documents, you can't lie so much.
Yes.
But matrimonial cases, there is absolutely no document. Whatever you say is what we have to believe. We will never know.
Yes.
So under those circumstances, it's very important for us to take the other side, the other perspective also. If it can be solved, well and good. Nothing beyond that. I mean, nothing better than that. If it cannot be solved, then I keep saying this. If you have to part with dignity.
Yes.
When you have children, part with dignity, because finally we are individuals.
Yes.
So parting itself is bad. But if you have to part, don't do it dirtily. Don't wash dirty linen in public. Just finish it off.
Right.
Part with dignity, at least so that tomorrow, at some point, if you see each other's face, you should not, you should not crib about it.
Yes.
It's like, it's okay. Bygones are bygones.
Yes.
So at least so much you can say and walk out. This is what I request. Any client who comes to me this will be one standard request. We want to part with dignity.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate thing we can suggest somebody, because as you rightly said, if you come across each other in future, you should not feel like I don't want to see your face. that kind of situation. Every time when I speak to any guest, I have a, uh good questionnaire ready. But in your case, the subject is such a sensitive subject, and everyone who has joined the call, they have more to discuss with you. So I will end my session here. One final message I want to communicate or convey before you say your final word, that our our nation is, we call Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So that is a really big concept. When we say the complete universe is my family, let us first pamper our own family, cherish our happy life with some glitches, some ups and downs. It's a part and parcel of life, and give that healthy atmosphere to not only our children but to our parents also, because they have a lot of hopes in us, and we are the bridging gap in between two generations. So we have to be very matured and at the same time easygoing. So make your life happy, your life healthy, and ultimately this will make a healthy samaj, healthy society. And then only we can stand against our enemies, against our challenges. If we are weak, who will fight? So think of all these things in a big way, in a more holistic way, rather than becoming a selfish, self-centered person. Now, final word I want you to say, Akka, and then we'll open for question and answer session.
I will just continue with what you have said, Akka. See, when we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the question is how are we going to do that? And we have been doing this.
Uh,
When children are young,
uh,
when you are telling them all kinds of stories
uh,
about the birds and
uh,
everything, it's been a practice. You see the moon. When you show the moon to the child, you're not showing the moon to the child saying that, no, look, there is moon, there is Chandra there. No, he's always Chanda Mama. He's always Chanda Mama.
Yes.
And all the stories, I mean, all the when there is a fox coming in, it is Nari Anna. And when there is a Kage that's coming in, it's Kage Akka, Kagaka. There is Gubakka, there is Kagaka, Gubakka, Nari Anna, Simhanna. All of these things, there is always a relationship that is built. And why do we do that when we do it for children? That is because ultimately every person will invariably build a relationship from the 2 rupee, 1 rupee pen to the biggest things on earth.
Yes.
From non-living things to living things. We
Absolutely.
build the relationship.
Absolutely.
There is a lot of intertwining that happens in the society.
Absolutely.
Now, in this amount of intertwining, if there is somewhere that we will be able to find an amount of straightening those twines, that can happen when our ideas are straight and when our Wi-Fi is much more stronger. I keep saying this, I go back to Vivekananda. When Vivekananda apparently during the last few days of his existence, of his bodily existence, of his bodily existence, he one day at night he started walking very frantically at night about 1:30, and his disciple was asking him what happened. And he said, he's like, I don't know. Somewhere something has gone wrong. People are affected. God knows where. There are people shouting. There are people feeling hopeless, helpless. So something wrong, helpless. So what should we do? At that point of time, of course, the disciple did not know anything, and Swamiji had to console himself, and then he went back to sleep after a very long time. The very next day, they realized that around the same time there was earthquake that was happening in Peru. So ultimately, each one of us, because Swamiji had his signals all around, he being a Wi-Fi himself, he was able to reach that much of distance. He was able to feel. He was able to feel the distress of those people. Correct. And each one of us have a Wi-Fi in us. I don't say that we don't have a Wi-Fi. See, when we are crossing the road, if there is some stranger who just trips, immediately please. So we go immediately, which means each one of us have that sensitivity. Each one of us are able to, feel for another.
Yeah, we are basically good human being.
Yes, yes, each one of us is a good human being, except that we have to recognize the goodness of
Yes,
another, and
yes.
we have to increase our Wi-Fi, should I say, strength.
Hmm.
So if we do that, then there'll absolutely be no problem in the world at all. All the lawyers can close our doors and then stay happily with each one of us.
No, no, everyone should coexist. So we will not allow you to close your door. Having said
No, no,
so,
we will
we
still live
definitely.
as human beings, very happy human beings. Rather than breaking families, we'll have making families. So we'll be happy
Absolutely,
doing that. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So I think with this we will end the session, Aka. And Kshama ji, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद for coming on the session. This is a really valuable message that we are communicating to the world, and this is going to go live. I hope many more people watch it, and those who are on the verge of unwanted situation reconsider their decision, and they live a happy life. So as they say, if the end is good, everything is good. So that's what we want to go towards. So once again, dhanyawad.
Thank you.
With
Thank you,
this,
Akka. Thank you for having me here.
we'll open for a question answer session,
Sure.
and people will have their n number of questions for you.
Sure.